Well, we are well and truly entering the business stage of the season. 5 weeks left, 8 matches for Argyle to try and save themselves. Odds well and truly against them, but win today and the great escape could be on. Over the past 5 seasons, the average points needed to survive has been 47. So that means Argyle need to win 5 of their remaining matches to even be in with a chance. They are refreshed after a weekend without a game, but are Argyle ready for the fight? A fight which begins this lunchtime against Watford. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Charlie Price and this is the pre-match show from Match Day Live. Football back with us for the final month of the season on Argyle TV. There are no more breaks and just 8 matches for Argyle to try and determine which division they will be playing football in next year. The gut punch of a result against Derby is still lingering in many people's minds, but that week off, the little refreshment, the little kind of click back into gear could well be what Argyle need. And remember, the last time they were on their travels, they did manage to pick up a win. So can they make it back-to-back away victories today? Well, as always, you'll be able to find out with us here on Argyle TV. It is the place to be. Match passes, both audio and video, are available to purchase online right now. Just head to pafc.co.uk for all of the details. Joining me for this lunchtime's kickoff is the former Argyle defender Mark Edworthy. And Mark, it's pretty much do or die for Argyle, I think, at the moment, isn't it? Yeah,
it certainly is, Charlie. Business end of the season, as we said. Teams fighting for promotion and relegation. 8 massive games to play for. We talked earlier about Watford being 5 points off potentially getting into the playoffs. So they'll look at that today with a home game. And obviously Argyle fighting for their lives at the wrong end of the table. So all to play for. As you said, mathematically, it's still enough points to do that, but it's going to be a tough task.
Yeah, 6 points adrift, Argyle at the minute, with the goal difference being so bad. It's effectively 7, isn't it? We've spoken about this for a while, but that target, the average points tally for survival over the last 5 years is 47. Remember, last year it was 51, and it can go up and down. But to get to 47 points, Mark, is 5 victories out of 8 matches.
Yeah, it is. It's a big task, isn't it? It really is. And I think, mathematically why it is still available, the points, then, we've got to have hope and faith, and the players have got to believe in themselves. I think that's huge. We did have a really good victory away to Portsmouth, which really did galvanise us a little bit. But then I think the 2 home defeats against Sheffield Wednesday and Derby, sort of like brought us back down to earth with a real big bang. And that's unfortunate, but that's the nature of the Championship. It's topsy-turvy, isn't it? And but it's a huge game. The early kick-off, we could set the stall out by getting the 3 points and, getting a real reminder to everybody that we're still in this fight. But it's going to be a big game this afternoon. Yeah,
there was talk, wasn't there, from Miran Muslic and actually some of the players in the build-up to this, that they're feeling a little bit refreshed after not having a game last weekend. Obviously, some of them were away playing international football, but do you reckon that could, do you reckon there's truth in that? Basically, that they kind of just almost like a little reset heading into this last few matches.
I think players can reflect on the season so far, and it's time to maybe had a couple of days off in there really, and like you say, refresh from that international break. I know some players have been away and have still had game time, but it is that stage of the season now. It is really important. This is a real busy end to the season. There's so much to play for at the top and the bottom. And for different circumstances, Argyle obviously trying to keep their championship status, and Watford are hopefully trying to get themselves into the Premier League by getting into the playoffs. So a lot to play for. The games are coming thick and fast now, and we're almost like running out of games really. Yeah. So we've got to start by today by getting I think we've got to get 3 points this afternoon.
Yeah, that is absolutely the order of the day. Let's take a look at the team news then from both sides. Argyle arriving at Vicarage Road a little earlier on. Obviously, we mentioned the international players that were away. Darko Jabi was away with England, under 20s. 6 players in total were away with their national teams. But the big news is that Argyle have made 4 changes from the side that were beaten late on against Derby County a fortnight ago. Headline news being Then Adam Randall returns for the first time in 5 matches to take the captain's armband. Matti Soronola also back from suspension, immediately back into the starting 11. And with no Maxi Talavierov because of his knee injury, which is ruling him out for the season, Julio Plagazuelo, declared fit after coming off injured against Portsmouth, comes in to replace him, making his 50th Championship appearance for Argyle. Good news, obviously, that Plaggy's back fit, Mark, after what looked like quite a bad injury up at Fratton Park, actually. But the loss of Maxi Talavierov, who's kind of, he was one of the two, him and Katic, that came in and has made such a big impact. He's sadly not going to play for the rest of this season. That is a blow, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I think Suits coming back in is always a plus as well, though, because I think before he got injured, he was probably one of the most dominant centre-halves. But the two arrivals certainly did make an impact, an instant impact. Really shored up the defence. But Peg coming back in is really good. I think he was really doing superbly well, and good to see he's signed a new contract with the club as well. Because I thought that he was possibly ruled out. It looked a nasty one, obviously, against Portsmouth. And obviously Randall coming back in, not just from his injury, but his suspension as well. I think he's a vital key in the midfield for us this afternoon. So yeah, it's a good starting lineup. I think players are still playing for their survival and their futures as well. That's really important. We're not shying away from that fact. And but the pitch looks in fantastic condition. Great place to go and play. And I think the players will be relishing this opportunity.
Yeah, you mentioned Randall there. He's missed the last 5. He was quoted by Miro Muslic, the boss, as being Argyle's best player when at the top of his game. And, we maybe missed him over the last few matches, I think.
I think we have, yeah. I think, in the past he was given the captain's armband. He led by example, and he's, what he does in that midfield, not does he break up play, he dictates play in there as well. He has a few goals to his game, and when he's on form, yeah, he's probably one of the best young midfield players in the Championship, and that's a high respect for him. He is a talented player, come through the ranks, and yeah, we certainly have missed him over those 5 games.
Yeah, he does dictate it, doesn't he? And he also has that, a few of the players have it, but he has that fear.
He has that tenacity, doesn't he? Yeah. And he loves to put his foot in and tackle fairly as well, and will keep going, and obviously, he wears that shirt with pride, and I think, yeah, he's a big plus for us this afternoon. And, we certainly need him for this run-in.
If you were watching Argyle Breakfast earlier, you'd have heard Aaron and Mark talking about Ryan Hardy. He's kind of was working his way back to fitness after the back issue he had. He did score against Portsmouth, but Mustafa Bundu is another one. Those two in attack have been combining nicely. Bundu's got 2 in his last 2. He actually scored for Sierra Leone as well on international duty. So, if Argyle are going to win, they need to score goals, obviously. Yeah. And they are the 2 big threats, aren't they?
They certainly are. Bundu and I think Hardy are in great form, and they've been scoring goals as well. They've got a really good partnership and understanding. Allows Ryan Hardy to get in behind because Bundu's got that presence up there. To see them both fit is good. Obviously, Hardy getting over that back issue. And yeah, they're going to be huge. They're going to be huge because their goals hopefully could get us enough points and enough wins to get us out of the situation we're in.
Let's have a look at Watford then. They are chasing the playoffs, as Mark said earlier, 5 points off the top 6. This is their side. Tom Cleverley making 5 changes actually to the team that was beaten a fortnight ago at Oxford. 3 of those changes come in the back line. Amankwa is out suspended, so Pollock will come in to replace him. But there are changes at right and left back as well, with Andrews and Wiley coming in for Ngakia and Larouci. Bayo comes in up top again after missing the last few because of a poor run of form. Kayembe drops to the bench. And Rocco Vata, the young Irish midfielder, starts, with Tom Ince also dropping out. Mark, they, obviously, we've mentioned it, have their eyes on playoffs, promotion. They've maybe flattered to deceive a little bit over the last few years. They've always been a big club at Championship level, haven't they? But they've never really challenged. This year, under Tom Cleverley, they seem to have just been a little bit more consistent. Maybe.
Yeah, they have. I think they've been a bit frustrated at times. They had a fantastic home record and were unbeaten for a certain period, and then they went on a bit of a bad run. I think the game here back in November, I think it was, when Andre Gray scored them magnificent goals. What a night that was. I think they felt they dropped 2 points here because I think they probably, over the course of the play, probably did deserve that, only purely because they conceded so late on. But it has been a bit topsy-turvy from since they were Tom Cleverley. But they feel they've got enough in their squad. They've got some quality players in there. And only 5 points off the playoffs. I think they believe they can have a run. And they've got to start today themselves. So that's why this afternoon's encounters, is a big game for both teams.
Yeah. Georgi Chekvetadze, Georgian international, had a good international break as well. He's their main playmaker, isn't he? He's the one who gets them going.
Yeah, magnificent player. I think we highlighted that with Aaron this morning. Brilliant dribbler, gets himself in great positions, seems to pick the right pass and the right option, can score goals as well. But when he dictates play, I mean, Argyle really got to get close to him. Rando, that'd be a fascinating sort of like match-up, because I'm sure they'll come across each other in this afternoon's game. But if he dictates play, that's going to be a real problem, because he's a quality player. He's got pace as well. You don't think he's got that pace, but it just shows with his quality and his technical ability. He's got that pace and power and quality to get away from players.
Yeah, his balance is incredible, isn't it? I'm just going to run through a couple of stats. He is the most creative player or one of the most creative players in the league. You can see that with these examples. He kind of creates the most shooting opportunities in the division. He also has the most progressive carry, so he dribbles with the ball really well. There's a lot of kind of tools to his armoury, aren't there?
Yeah, there really is. I thought the game, as we reflected on back here at home park, he was outstanding. He really was. He dictated play, and I think Argyle can't allow that to happen, because especially being away from home, a player of his quality to dictate play could be a real problem this afternoon.
Just a quick word as well on one of their really experienced players, Moussa Sissoko, former Tottenham Newcastle man, making his 700th career appearance today. So that is what Argyle are up against, French international as well, of course. But no game last weekend, of course, because of the international duty. Meant that the squad and the management were able to have a little break over the weekend, 4 or 5 days, in which they were able to switch off and relax, something that Miran Muslic is hoping means they can come back fully focused for today. Has the week off, or the weekend off, had an impact, do you think? Had a kind of a refreshing going into this final chunk of games?
I think very positive, because it was also after a very, very busy and demanding schedule from January on, playing almost 3 games per week consistently, just to escape, to breathe, to take a little bit also of distance for 3.5, 4 days. I personally went back home to see my family, spend 2.5 days with my family, to recharge, to refill, to get all the energy I need so we can go fully and try to maximize the last 5.5 weeks and the last 8 matches. And the lads returned also back with a good spirit, with a good mood, with a bunch of energy. It's now up to us to get at this and to maximize this and to start performing again.
Do you get the impression from the lads that is the sole focus of everybody? No.
Yeah, 100%. That was also the message from us to them, but you can also see it and feel it in the group. We still believe, and we have to make sure, like I said before, last home game here against Leeds United, we have something to play. For that, we need to perform the 7 games before, and then we have a chance. And I believe in us. Yeah,
as you said, the first one of those matches is Watford on Saturday. It's an away game. We finally got that away win, so there presumably will be a kind of a nicer feeling, a bit more confident feeling heading towards that game potentially than we may have had on our travels before.
Yeah, I believe so, knowing that we are facing a play of one team, trying everything to reach this, to stay in this play of one, to reach this play of one, to have the chance to fight for the Premier League. But we have also this mindset, and that Portsmouth game helped us massively to believe that actually we can also perform and win away. And this should give us also confidence enough to compete on Saturday.
Miran Muslic talking to me earlier this week, and he says the right things, Mark, and you believe the stuff he says, and he was talking there about making sure we get to the final game of the season, Leeds United here, still with something to play, because that, on any given day that's a big occasion anyway, but we just need to prolong it as long as possible. You do not want the season totally fizzling out, do you?
No, I think he's very passionate and honest, isn't he? Since he's arrived, his initial speech to the teams about the club, the supporters, the risks we take being a player, how difficult it is. He says all the right things. And I think if the players believe in that and trust him and his beliefs, then yeah, you've got to give it. He still believes we've got a chance. I think if the manager didn't, then you'd be in real problems. So that's obviously going to then filter down through to the players, and he'll keep doing that, as you said, right to the end of the game, the end of the season, which will be the last home game against Leeds United. And you still want to think you're in with a chance on that last game, which would be amazing if we do. So if he believes that, and that, like you say, filters down through to the players and they believe in it, then mathematically we have got enough time and games and points to do that.
Yeah, the other thing you said, and we spoke about it earlier on, is that you have to be winning games now, though. We've already spoken about that target of 5 potentially, which I've just plucked from the stats, but draws almost are not good enough at this stage of the season.
They're not, no.
So that is a different mindset for players, certainly since Miran Mustić has come in, which has tried to make us more kind of competitive in games, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think when you know points not good enough, away from home a point would be great, and then you win the home games. But we've got ourselves in the positions where a point isn't good enough now. We've got to win the game, so that comes with an element of risk. And the way the manager sets up, we're very organised, hard to beat, and maybe counter-attack at times. So, you know, when you do take risks and you want to go and win the game and get all 3 points, there's that element you're going to be open and going to be exposed. And unfortunately, that's a problem which has happened this season. When you're exposed, the opposition have took advantage of that. And, you know, Watford, as we talked about, are in that opportunity now. They believe they can chase the playoff situation. So they've got to take a slight risk today. They're at home, the fans will expect. So it's all set up for a fascinating encounter.
It is.
It really is.
And it's definitely it's the time of the season where most games now have loads riding on them. You know, you can go back to Christmas when there's loads of games and what have you, but now is where they mean stuff. You know, Watford will need to win today to stay in a playoff chase. Argyle, we know, need to win to kind of keep themselves in the battle at the bottom. There aren't many games in the league, there aren't many teams in the division where a match won't actually count. Certainly now with 8 games to go, is there? So they could be fascinating matches.
Yeah, I really think they are. I think at the top end of the table, you know, there's lots to play for. And as always, at the bottom end, there's a lot of teams who potentially could get drawn back in it still. And Potato have got that belief where if they win a few games, they can get themselves out of the relegation zone. So huge games, and each remained in 8 games to play for. And you know, the rewards are huge as well.
Yeah, well, as mentioned, they are just on the curtails of the playoff sides, Watford at the moment. Tom Cleverley is hoping that he can see his side's recent good performances turn into a good result, a good yield, and he's hoping that will start today against Argyle.
You've had youngsters on the bench pretty much all season, and I remember you saying a year ago you don't give away debuts or appearances for the sake of it, but with 8 games left, when do those younger players start to come into the reckoning for more game time?
Not thought of that, to be honest. The season is very much alive for me, and if a young player deserves his chance and gives the team a better chance of winning, which someone like Azav could do this weekend, then he will be given the opportunity. There'll be no token gesture minutes, and that's not come into my thought process. And it didn't really until the last game of the season last season when Middlesbrough away there were a few debuts, but no, we're fully focused on beating Plymouth, and if a young player can give us the better chance of doing that, then he will enter the pitch.
Plymouth fighting for their lives. So many teams are either trying to get into the playoffs or trying to get away from the relegation zone. It's going to be a cracking end to the season.
Yeah, it really is. For the neutral or for the supporters, it's every team seems like it's got something to play for. So it's good for you guys and the broadcasters because it looks like a really exciting last 5 weeks of the regular season, and I'm excited to be a part of that.
Plymouth 0-1 after what happened down there with that late goal. It got them a draw.
Yeah, it's one that there's 2 or 3 that stand out that really sting, and 2 or 3 that we've nicked. Bristol City at home, I'm sure we probably stole a bit of a result, but it all evens itself out. But the Plymouth away one, yeah, for sure hurts a little bit more than the others because it was a game we deserved to win.
I know this is an old sort of subject, but when Plymouth go through and beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, how do you then reconcile their league performances with the run they had?
Yeah, for me that's completely false. You know, Liverpool make 9-10 changes, give a few debuts at themselves or whatever. So yeah, you don't look to that at all. What I would say is he's doing a great job. He's getting the best out of that group. He's changed their style a little bit, and it'll be a really tough test on Saturday. But focus on ourselves. If we're at our best on Saturday, we win the game, and that's what we have to strive for.
Interesting, some of the thoughts from Tom Cleverley there, picking out the point you made earlier about them thinking they should have won down here. So maybe that will be in the back of some of the players' minds, that Andre Gray wonder strike, well, but two wonder strikes.
Two magnificent goals on the evening, was it? But interesting what you said, if they're at their best, they win the game.
Yeah.
So he has clear faith in his team and his players. But it's interesting, that night we talk about in November, all those points, right throughout the season, there's cold, wet, windy Tuesday, Wednesday nights, wherever it is, you've drawn, you've lost, it all adds up at the end of the season. As we said, so much to play for now. Yeah. And all teams, I'm sure, are reflecting on that, if only, that's a big word in this game. Both teams potentially could in a better position. Yeah,
and you can't afford those if only moments now, and Watford will feel that as much as us.
Yeah, I think they'll feel that, they're 5 points off it. If they got an extra 2 points that night here, it closes the gap, and he will probably speak of a few games where it said it hurts, but a good young manager, he's a terrific player in his time, and he's doing a good job there for such a young manager.
Yeah. What are you expecting then, Mark? Final one before we hand away. What are you expecting from today? We've kind of spoken about the fact it could be open, could be entertaining. What are you expecting from the game?
I think, initially we've got to take care of our own destiny. We've got to not rely on other teams, because it's out of our hands anyway regarding the points and the amount of games that's left. We've got to go out and express ourselves and go and win the game. That comes with an element of risk, as we talked about. We can't sit back and allow things to happen, because if Watford get on top of you, then we could get defeated away from home. So I think they realise now games are so important. We've got to go and win the game. And how we do that, how they set up in training, take a few risks, and when the opportunity does present itself, we have to take them now. We can't be looking back and reflecting on, if only we took that chance, because time's running out.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Time is running out. Games are getting fewer and fewer. The chances are becoming less and less, so Argyle have to take it now. We are ready to hand away to commentary in just a moment. We've got John Ashton, the former Argyle defender, and Harry Salvage in position at Vicarage Road. Argyle against Watford is up next.